Good morning, it's another shout out. I want to direct your attention to this music documentary about Ottilie Patterson, who came from Comber, County Down, and I have videoed her home and her grave. The programme is on BBC One and you can get it on iPlayer, and I'm told that if you're worldwide, you can subscribe to BBC Northern Ireland and get these kinds of programmes. I presume that costs money, but to go on about, my name is Ottilie, and the presenter is a girl called Donna Masters, musician herself, and that's good. So she talks about Ottilie Patterson. Soul singer Donna Masters traces the story of Ottilie Patterson, who for a dazzling few years in the late 1950s and early 1960s was a pioneer of British music. Louis Armstrong made a comment, something like, how can a white girl sing like a black woman? She was just, she had an unbelievable voice. Here's what it says. Soul singer Donna Masters traces the story of Ottilie Patterson, who for a dazzling few years in the late 1950s and early 1960s was a pioneer of British music. Well, it was British blues. One night in 1959, a 27-year-old female singer took to the stage at Muddy Waters' renowned club in Chicago. After a stunning set, a member of the rapturous American audience called out, "Hey lady, you sing really pretty. How come you sing like one of us?" The singer was Ottilie Patterson, and she wasn't black. She wasn't even American. She was from the small town of Comber in County Down, just 10 miles from Belfast, a rising star of British jazz and blues music. She was the acclaimed singer with the Chris Barber band, who paved the way for bands like the Rolling Stones, the Pretty Things, and inspired their passion for American blues. Why did Ottilie, who became the UK's first female blues singer to achieve near pop status and perform with the legends like Muddy Waters, Ella Fitzgerald and Sister Rosetta Tharpe, disappear from the story of British music? Singer-songwriter Donna Masters sees in Ottilie a woman whose story in many respects mirrors her own, not just her shared love of jazz and blues, but how Ottilie travelled from Northern Ireland to find acceptance as a singer in Black America, with Donna making the journey in reverse to build a life and career in Ireland. Featuring Jules Holland, Jackie Dankworth, Dick Taylor, The Pretty Things, Stu Morris and the Chris Barber Band, and blues musician Ronnie Greer, and a revealing never-before-heard interview of Ottilie Patterson. Donna discovers the challenges Ottilie faced as a woman in music in the late 1950s and 60s, and the cost of a career devoted to performance in a film which reclaims her rightful place in the history of British music. And I think it's brilliant that this documentary has been made. And through the power of Capwig Studio, I've been able to retrieve the two videos I did on Ottilie Patterson back in 2015. The first one is about her home in Comber, and the second one shows her grave. Ottilie Patterson, what a girl, and she deserves to be remembered, and she has largely been forgotten about by the people of Northern Ireland, which is so sad, and I'm trying to do my wee bit to remember her. So she is gone, but in my view, she is gone but not forgotten. Good morning. I'm over in Comber and I'm just outside the house of a very, very famous jazz singer from the 50s, 60s and 70s. Now people will walk past this house and look up at the blue plaque and say who lived there. Or maybe they'll not even notice it. But this lady was Ottilie Patterson. And here's the house just off High Street at Carnesure Terrace where she was born. And this lady was mega in her day. She married in later life Chris Barber of the Chris Barber Jazz Band. And she travelled the world. She was an amazing jazz singer. Jazz and blues, born in this house in 1932, and she died not so long ago in 2012. This lady trained, I believe, as a teacher, and she came through Grosvenor Grammar, and she just reached the dizzy heights of celebrity and stardom. She appeared on the likes of Morecambe and Wise show. She was just feted throughout the world as a jazz singer. She knocked about with people in America like Muddy Waters. She played and sang with Lonnie Donegan and Acker Bilk and George Melly and you know, she just was a star, and she was mega, and she died in relative obscurity in Ur in 2012, just about 3 years ago. But this is the house that she was born in and ran about in, and there's the blue plaque as evidence. Black lady singers would come up to her and say, "How do you sing like one of us?" You wouldn't have known that she was a white singer, and she was just amazing. This morning I'm investigating the life of Ottilie Patterson, a jazz singer extraordinaire, and I'm up in Movilla Cemetery and I've just found her gravestone. And this was a lady, as I said earlier, who hit the dizzy heights of celebrity status because of her singing style and her voice. She was a white lady and she sang like a black girl. She was amazing. She sang with so many of the leading jazz singers of that time. Humphrey Littleton, Kenny Ball, Lonnie Donegan. You know, she was right in there. She married Chris Barber, as I said, and she sang with Acker Bilk and so many others from the 50s and 60s that made the big time, and she was right up there. She travelled the world with Chris Barber and his dance band. And there's her grave headstone up in the Villa Cemetery. This is a vast cemetery. It is full of surprises. It's one of the oldest cemeteries about the place. Patterson, fondest memory of Jessie, loving daughter of Joseph and Juliet, died 2nd of June 2002, age 78. Also their devoted daughter, Ottilie Anna Barber, née Patterson, born 1932, died 2011, age 79. She died in Ur in a nursing home in relative obscurity, sadly. But and she wanted to be buried quietly. She must have been quite a humble girl. She didn't want any razzmatazz, and here she is, tucked away at the corner of the cemetery here with her relatives.
Her mother and father were Joseph and Juliet, and their story in itself is fascinating.